With the Steam Deck, Valve took the languishing PC gaming handheld market and kicked it into high gear. There are a lot of reasons to be a fan of the Steam Deck, and I could sit here and list all of my favorite things about it, and I probably will, but I wanted to give you some fresh perspectives on what makes the Steam Deck so popular. So I ended up reaching out to some of my favorite content creators, including Aiden Walls, Baldly Rudy, Bob Wolf, Carrie Golem, Jimmy Champagne, Rich from Fan the Deck, Russ Crandall from Retro Game Core, Tech Dweeb, and Dammit Jeff. And I asked all of them what they love about the Steam Deck. But before we get there, I want to take a second and thank the sponsor of this video. It's time that we're honest with ourselves. Do you have a drawer that you just throw cables into? Or are you more like me and you have multiple drawers filled to the brim with cables that you can't tell apart because they all look the same? My biggest gripe with USB-C is that all of the USB-C cables look the same and companies never label them with what they can do. I want to know how much power a cable can transfer. I want to know how much data a cable can handle. Well, with LTT cables from LTTstore.com, I finally get what I want. And that's why I was really excited when they offered to sponsor this episode. LTT cables have what they call true spec cables that fix these glaring issues. Now, you don't need to know the difference between USB 3.2 Gen 1 and USB 3.2 Gen 2. All you need to know is the capabilities of the cable that you're buying, and they're labeled. They also come in a bunch of different lengths. I used to always buy the longest cables that I could just because I wanted to make sure that I would still be able to use them if I decided to change things around. But the problem with that is you end up with all this extra wire that then you have to cable manage or leave dangling, which looks terrible. With LTT cables, you get the lengths that you're looking for, and as a bonus, they're built to last. They use silicone sheathing, which is more flexible and less prone to damage when you bend and or pull on your cables. So if you want to make sure that you know what your cables can do, then do yourself a favor and buy them from LTTstore.com in the future. And a big thanks to LTTstore.com for sponsoring this episode. So let's go ahead and get to know the panel, starting with Baldly Rudy. Rudy, what's up, man? Rudy, hello.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Hi.
Can you tell everyone what it is that you do?
I'm Rudy. I'm bald, so Baldly Rudy, that's the name of my YouTube channel. In terms of what type of content I make, I cover PC handheld tech, but also just mobile tech, powerful mobile tech, pretty much anywhere. I test games and tech so that you don't have to. So the Steam Deck, Xbox Ally X, the Legion Go 2s, and laptops, tablets, pretty much anything and everything that is powerful and mobile and that I can take with me while I'm traveling for work.
Okay, what's your favorite thing about the Steam Deck?
This is a pretty tough question. What is your favorite thing about the Steam Deck? Because here's the thing. I love the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck, even now, if I can get a game that runs well on the Steam Deck, I typically gravitate towards the Steam Deck over any of the other handhelds that are out there. It's just ergonomically, it's comfortable. It doesn't weigh a ton like the Legion Go 2. The Legion Go 2, I feel like I could be doing curls while I'm playing the freaking game on the Legion Go 2. Ergonomics are great. Everything is just fantastic. It's like a really well done package. The only thing that I wish there was more, it was just power. That's it. But everything else is perfect. Ergonomically, it's great. It's perfectly weighed out. It's a great handheld in terms of design, functionality, and ergonomics.
Next up is Jimmy Champagne. Tell everybody about your channel, Jimmy. What's it all about?
Basically a content hub for anything related to Steam hardware. So whether you're talking about the Steam Deck, the Steam Machine, the Steam Frame, the Legion Go S, putting Steam OS on a PC, putting Steam OS on the ROG Xbox Ally X. If you want to know anything that's going on with Steam hardware, it's the channel for you.
What is your favorite thing about the deck?
My favorite thing about the Steam Deck is how easy and seamless it makes playing PC games on the go. Like the fact that I could start up Resident Evil 6 on my couch, play it for a couple of hours, put the Steam Deck in sleep mode, and then go and play something else on my TV, then come back to my Steam Deck and turn it back on and nothing was disrupted is awesome. The fact that when I'm done playing a game on my Steam Deck, it uploads the save immediately to the cloud. So if I go to my other PC and start the same game, the save downloads and everything's seamless and quick is awesome. And the the trackpads are like the killer feature of the Steam Deck. As someone who's used basically every other PC handheld out there, I don't care how much better the performance is. If it doesn't have trackpads, I don't want it at this point. I've been playing a game recently called Surround Dead that doesn't have controller support, and I found a community profile that uses the whole layout of the Steam Deck and it covers every key. It's just awesome. To like bring it down to a point, I think the best thing about the Steam Deck is that it was very obviously made by people who play video games. It's not cynical. It's not just trying to make the best PC hardware in a handheld. It's trying to make the best device to play games on. And that's why even with so many other devices down here in my little studio, I always default back to the Steam Deck.
Most of you are going to know Carrie from my podcast. You didn't know I have a podcast? I do. It's right here on my YouTube channel. You should check it out sometime. But anyway, next up is Carrie Golem, aka The Fox. Carrie, tell everybody about your channel.
Hello everyone, my name's The Fox. I run the YouTube channel The Fox, and I take a look at PC gaming handhelds. I have been taking a look at PC gaming handhelds for a very long time now, and I try to make the most out of them, try to extract the most performance out of them while using as little power as possible.
You've been doing handheld coverage for ages. What do you think makes the Steam Deck so awesome?
My favorite thing about the Steam Deck is that it has legitimized PC gaming handhelds. It is, again, because I've been doing this for 10 years, when we take a look at everything that had come before it, everyone kind of looked at it as like a weird curiosity, specifically from like GPD, who was pretty much the only makers of them. And then iNeil eventually got in there. And then some other makers started getting in there. And then we started having some variety, but only until the Steam Deck coming in did it really legitimize the scene entirely. Even though it has existed before, when Valve came in with the Steam Deck, that's when things really opened up. So that is probably the thing that is my favorite thing about the Steam Deck, even though there's like a tremendous amount of stuff going on. Mostly it's like software related. So it's like Proton, GameScope, all of those things. But if I had to pick like one thing, it's probably the externalities of what the Steam Deck brought.
Thanks, Carrie. Next up is the man that put Tenet on a Game Boy, Bob Wolf.
Hi guys, it's me, espresso slut Bob Wolf.
I'm sorry, an espresso what? You know what? Never mind. I don't think that I want to know. Loving the new studio, by the way.
Right now, around this time, I'm at the studio, and around this time, the guy comes in to take the garbage, and that's gonna ruin this. And I'm gonna leave it all in.
No worries, man. I'll just edit around it anyway. The audience has heard the question a few times, so we can stop pretending. What's your answer? Go.
My favorite thing about the Steam Deck has to just be its ease of use. SteamOS makes PC gaming so easy. We often take for granted just a sleep-wake function. You ever try to put a Windows computer to sleep and then wake it up? You're like rolling the dice whether or not it's gonna wake up. God forbid you put it to sleep in the middle of a game. Do you ever think twice when you do that on a console? When I'm playing with a controller or on a handheld, I want to boot the thing up, click on a game, and get into the game and start playing it. And there are plenty of PC handhelds where that is not a thing. You got to do a whole bunch of tomfoolery in order to just get into the game. You might think I'm over exaggerating, and you might have a PC handheld, and you might be totally fine tapping the screen a few times or like navigating the Windows desktop with your finger. But like, imagine giving this thing to like your mom and telling her to go play Grand Theft Auto 5. If we're talking about my favorite things about the hardware, it's getting a little old. The OLED has a really nice screen.
Thanks, man. Anything else?
Hey, like and subscribe.
Yes, absolutely. People should do that. Okay. Next up is my friend Rich, aka Fan the Deck. Rich, tell us about your channel and what makes the Steam Deck awesome.
What's good, Deck Gang? I am Rich from Fan the Deck, and I've been making videos about the Steam Deck for over 4 years now. That sounds insane. But I've been using the Steam Deck itself for almost 4 years, and I can say without a doubt that it is my favorite gaming device. And the number one reason it is my favorite gaming device is because it is a backlog killer. Now, I am someone that, to be honest, I will buy games even though I know it's going to be hard for me to finish them. I want to at least try them and support the developer. That's something that is intrinsic to me. I have the disposable income to do it, so that's how I like to spend my money. And now I have over 2,000 games on Steam alone. And the thing about that backlog, of course, is that my family uses the TV a lot of the times, and so I end up playing a lot on my Steam Deck. Of course, I travel with it too. It's at the point now where the whole family is traveling with handhelds. I'll play on the Steam Deck, my son will play on the ROG Ally X, and my daughter will play the Switch too. So we all have handhelds, and the Steam Deck for me is just a great way to work on the backlog. Like I said, I have 2,000 games, and I want to get through a lot of them. There are still a lot of great games that I haven't finished, like Deus Ex Human Revolution and Baldur's Gate 3. And then there are newer games that I love to play, games like Dispatch, Metamorphosis, and Baby Steps. I just have a ton of these 4 to 8 hour games, and with something like the Steam Deck, I can knock that out in a week with just these 30 minutes at a time. And in addition to my backlog, I also use the Steam Deck as a way to try a bunch of demos. Steam has these things about 3 to 4 times a year that they call Steam Next Fest, where developers just submit a bunch of demos onto the store, and it's your chance to try upcoming games. And that's one of my favorite times of the year because I love to try games I never heard of and maybe find something that would delightfully surprise me. I add it to my wish list, I buy it, and it grows the backlog even further. So of course, the Steam Deck has also had the opposite effect of being a backlog killer. It also is a backlog grower, but the fact that it gives me just another way to play the games that I have, that is something that cannot be beat.
Next up is Tech Dweeb. He is more than just a pair of arms in an orange and brown shirt. Dweeb, how's it going, man? Same question.
Hey there, I'm Tech Dweeb. I make videos on the internet about things that interest me. Everything from retro tech to board games to PCs and handhelds and paper puppets, but I make a whole lot of Steam Deck stuff too. That's like trying to ask a mother to pick which kid is her favorite. The smart, cool one, obviously, but she's not just gonna tell you that in front of the dumb snot-nosed one. I love so many things about the deck, but it feels rude to pick between them. I love the touchpads, I love the ergonomics, I love the low TDP performance, I love the battery life, I love the OLED screen, I love SteamOS, I love how effortless the deck makes PC gaming, but really deep down, there's only one answer. I know it, you know it, everyone with a deck secretly wants to say it, but no one has the guts. So I'll do it. I'll be the brave one to say it on all of our behalfs. It's the vent fumes. Those sweet, sweet vent fumes. The sharp and crispy new electronic smell, but with fruity undertones and a hint of spice. It's the smell that we all know and love, like sticking our nose in a freshly opened game case or a pack of Magic the Gathering cards, but like the high-class version. I know you were probably expecting us to give an answer about some cool fancy thing that the deck does, and other people in this video probably did that, but I'm telling you, the smell is really what keeps us coming back. Deep down, you know it's true.
Thanks, Dweeb. You can go back to sniffing your deck. Rich, damn it, I mean Russ. What's up, Russ?
Hey everybody, this is Russ from Metro Game Core. If you don't know me already, I have a channel dedicated mostly to handhelds and just other ways to play portable gaming. Now, I focus mostly on emulation and some modern games too, mostly talking about retro handhelds, those that run on Linux or Android, but I do dabble in PC handhelds as well, including the Steam Deck. I think my favorite thing about the Steam Deck is that it really doesn't feel like a computer. Like you just turn it on, sign into your Steam account, and then just start downloading and installing your games. Now, there is some configuration necessary, kind of those pains that are just part and parcel with playing on PC, but at the same time, I think that they probably have managed it the best you possibly could on a device that is essentially a PC that doesn't really feel like it. When you think about it, our modern consoles today are essentially computers, but they have this custom operating system to them that just feel very immersive and self-contained, and that is what SteamOS does for the Steam Deck too, in that you really don't feel like you're using a computer, although there are some casual reminders, like, again, when you have to go into the settings. It's almost to the point where I feel like I could hand off a Steam Deck to my older brother, and he would be able to figure it out. This is a guy who has been using the same iMac for like 15 years, and, you know, he's got an Xbox 360. That's his most recent gaming system, and so he's not really up with the times when it comes to gaming, especially PC gaming, but I feel like he could probably navigate through a library and install a game and play the game right there. He could probably probably even go and figure out the settings within a game itself, and then maybe even the Steam settings too, adjusting the performance profiles and stuff like that. It's all simple enough for somebody like him, which I think is a big win at the OS level. And it's really hard to explain just how good the SteamOS experience has gotten over the past few years. I mean, I remember the days when you would put on big picture mode on your Steam device, and it would kind of work, but there were times where the controller would just kind of get stuck in a spot where you couldn't really figure out where you were going. And SteamOS has really solved a lot of those issues, not only in just regular old Steam big picture mode on a PC, but especially within SteamOS on a Steam Deck and other devices that now support it.
And next up is Aiden Walls. Favorite thing, Aiden? Let's hear it.
Hey everyone, my name is Aiden. I'm a pastor of a mega church cult here in South Africa. My favorite thing about the Steam Deck is actually such a complex question, isn't it? Because the Steam Deck did what no one had done before, and even now it still stands alone as a thing of, technological wonder. And it's my favorite thing about the Steam Deck is how it's done everything quite well. It does a few things very, very well, but it's a jack of all trades. And sometimes, usually that's a bad thing. But in this situation where there's nothing on the market that quite does what the Steam Deck does, in other words, plays most of the Steam library on a compact-ish device, that is just revolutionary and is my favorite thing about it, and it is the main reason why I keep going back to it, even though there's many things that I don't like about it. That is the thing. Like, for instance, I'm busy playing through Tomb Raider for the holidays, and it's the only device I have that is going to play those things natively and all 3 games of the trilogy.
And next up is Dammit Jeff, who was the first person I ever saw that did a full shell swap for the Steam Deck. Most of the time he's modifying something or building something in his videos, but he's the reason that I actually decided to do a shell swap of my Steam Deck. Jeff, what's your favorite thing about the deck?
By far, my favorite thing about the Steam Deck doesn't actually have anything to do with the hardware itself, but rather the software experience that it introduced to everyone, SteamOS. So listen, I got my start in PC gaming around 2012-ish, and since then I have vivid memories of what Linux gaming used to look like. It was so bare bones, it was clunky, there was a total of 2 games that were supported, and it was not user-friendly at all. Like I don't think people actually remember this is what SteamOS used to look like. It was super bare bones, and Linux native games were not in a great place at the time. But now we have a wonderful software experience that I feel perfectly encapsulates a plug-and-play Linux gaming experience. Something that a lot of times I actually end up completely forgetting that I'm doing on this thing. It's like, oh crap, yeah, I'm gaming on Linux on this thing. Steam Input makes any controller rebindables. You can make shortcuts, download presets, whatever you need to do, and you never have to worry about if X controller is going to work on SteamOS anymore. There's cloud saves, so you never have to worry about syncing games, game recordings, voice chat, TDP controls, quick resume, and the one piece that binds everything together, Proton, the translation layer where most Windows games will literally just launch and run exactly like it would on Windows, and sometimes even better. I do not take that for granted at all.
Proton is a compatibility layer distributed through Steam. It's downloaded and set up automatically when running any game that needs it. It's made up of a collection of different open source projects, including a heavily modified distribution of Wine. It is not an emulator, meaning that your game's executable code runs as is without any modifications. However, when the app makes an API call that would normally go to an external Windows OS library, that call goes into Proton code instead. The call is then implemented using Linux APIs and open standards such as Vulkan.
It's taken Valve literally a decade of mistakes and trial and error to finally get to a solution where all of us can just download a game and start playing without having to mess with config.ini files and setting registry edits. The hardware of the Steam Deck is amazing, but the software, dude, I genuinely believe Linux gaming would not be in the same place it is right now if it wasn't for this thing. They've essentially normified the PC gaming experience, and it's by far my favorite thing about the Steam Deck.
Okay, so now it's my turn. I think that my favorite thing about the Steam Deck is just how comfortable it is to hold. Yes, it is big and bulky, but Valve's design team nailed how this feels in the hand when you are actually playing games. There are much more powerful options out there with better screens, although the screen on the Steam Deck is pretty great. But when you actually have them in your hand, they are all just shaped slightly wrong. Anyway, a huge thank you to everyone that participated in this video. I have links to all of their channels down below that like button. And while you're down there, leave a comment and tell us your favorite thing about the Steam Deck. From the NerdNest, I'm Bill. Thanks for watching and stay rad, everyone.